Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews. It's actually a pretty light week. There were a couple books that were missing in the shipment, so we'll try to get those next week. It wasn't anything too major, but it does happen sometimes. This stuff gets missed and things like that. We'll go over quickly. Once again, we did new books. So we have Mark Russell's Flintstones, which is this is the deluxe hardcover edition, which is absolutely amazing. It includes the original run. Plus, there was some team up stories that they did. There was like the Flintstones and Booster Gold, so it does include those short stories also. The Omega Man, which was part of the DCU initiative that was quite the failure. There were some great books, but just sales wise, they weren't. And that originally was going to get canceled, and the fans saved that one. One that I'm very excited about that was getting was the omnibus of House of Mystery. That reprints a lot of the classic House of Mystery books at DC. Bernie Wrightson, Mike Coletta, tons of people worked on those books. There's really wonderful. And then we have Habibi. By Craig Thompson, really wonderful book. And then we have Dracula Motherfucker, which was really good. That's Alex DeCampi and Erica Henderson of Squirrel Girl fame. And this one was very surprising. The reprint of Evil Dead that was done at Dark Horse years ago. John Bolton did the artwork, which is absolutely amazing. And was really surprised when they announced that they were going to reprint that, because there's usually things like that have a rights issue. But they were able to reprint in a nice hardcover. And then finally, and it's been nominated for a number of Eisner Awards this year, it's Lonely at the Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood. So we'll see if she wins some Eisners this year. Some good news, bad news. Actually, kind of bad news. Some of the actually all of the panels that I recorded at WonderCon, apparently my microphone died. Or the external microphone was not working, and it apparently has died. I have bought a new one. Well, fingers crossed we'll get that one working before San Diego. But unfortunately, the panels that I did record have no audio. Now there is a chance I might be able to salvage one of them because I know somebody else that recorded, so I might be able to use that audio with my video. That's going to take a little while to do. But the good news is I've got the new computer up and running, so I'm going to start importing them and working on them so I can get them up on the site. So the ones that I know are good are actually going to be from a few years ago, but still great to see panels and stuff. Especially I have the Liam Sharp one when he was at WonderCon quite a few years ago. He was doing Green Lantern at the time, and really it was really a great panel, but it was very sad because nobody really showed up for that, which was really disappointing. But anyways, I'll be working on those. Hopefully, maybe I'll get a chance this weekend, but it's going to be tough this holiday weekend. I don't know how books are going to come next week. We hope they come on schedule, so we'll kind of see where it lands. I may not be able to get the video up. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this late tonight. Normally I get this done during the day. It's been a crazy week at work, and then just a bunch of other stuff. As you know, we all it's always crazy. So hopefully you all have a safe and wonderful 4th of July. And hopefully you'll have a good weekend and safe, and keep all 10 digits of your fingers and toes. And then we've got Comic-Con coming up. They announced today the exhibitor list, which is really good. And the big news is the DC is going to be back at the convention. Also, Dark Horse is going to be there. They were not there last year. And I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, Image was there, but Dark Horse is back. DC is really, and it's not going to be a Warner Brothers booth. It's just DC, and they're going to be actually selling some stuff. They got some special covers. Tom King was showing off the Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. It's like a chrome. It's like a foil cover. So that's it's great that they're going to be back. And we still don't know what's going to happen because of the continuing writer strike in Hollywood. The Screen Actors Guild, their contract comes up on the 30th, which is Friday, depending on when you watch this. So we'll kind of see where that goes. And right now, that probably is going to affect Comic-Con at some point as far as the movie panels. But I always say, hey, that's more room for comic book panels. So, but bring them on. So hopefully we'll get some good comic panels, which fingers crossed, all the audio and everything works, and I'll be able to record those. And some of the ones that aren't, that a lot of people might miss, or kind of fly under the radar. Anyways, that's kind of news and stuff. So we got all that out of the way. So let's get to the books. First up, we have the Nightwing Battle for Bludhaven Heart, which is the third hardcover volume of Nightwing. It's actually kind of the fourth, but what they did, because there was the Fear State storyline, so they've that was that came out of Batman and Detective. That's a separate hardcover, so they're numbering the ones that Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo have done. So that one is the stories are written by Tom Taylor with artwork by Bruno Redondo and Geraldo Borges, and then there's varying inks on the issues by Chayo Felipe and Wade Von Grodbadger. As you know, I'm a big fan of Nightwing, and this is a really great way to get these. It's really nice that DC does hardcovers on these. This covers issues 92 through 96. And it also includes the crossover with Superman, John Kent. There was a crossover issue that was done, so it does include that. Also includes the regular covers, variant covers, and it's not a super big special edition, but it's nice that they included all that stuff, and of course the crossover that Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo did, because Tom Taylor was has been writing the John Kent book. Once again, I don't think you can go wrong with Nightwing. It's just a really wonderful book. Next up, so we have the first new book of this week. The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, #1. The idea is by James Tinian IV. The script is by Tate Bromble, with artwork by Isaac Goodhart. So what this is, in kind of simple terms, it's referred to as a teenage mad scientist. I think the best way, and you'll kind of see it, and I'm not giving too much away, but it's basically he's a young Dr. Frankenstein. And you'll see that in this book. But basically his kind of mind works in overdrive. It's almost like he's able to see like the world in a different way. And he's also able to kind of like as a child, he can project like, psychic type powers. We think we really don't know, but he's he's very much an outcast. And there's this he has a boy crush on this other high school boy, Hayden. He follows him into the woods, and he turns into a werewolf. And then there's like these ghost something that basically kills him. So there's like monsters, there's like he's Dr. Frankenstein, there's werewolves. It's really crazy. I mean, I honestly, in a lot of ways, I mean, this is a lot of setup here, but I really, really enjoyed this book. Tate Bromble, he wrote the Barbalian miniseries at Dark Horse, and he's really a good writer. And I really like how we get to know Christopher, pretty well in this first issue. Like I said, there's a lot of exposition, but also the fact that he's kind of keeping things hidden, but but it's just a lot to take in, and of course, kind of in a lot of ways for me, it leaned on the classic Universal monsters, and so it's really, I think, a very interesting book. I really enjoyed this. Goodhart's artwork is really quite nice. It really gives it a good kind of, horror feel when it needs to, but also like when Christopher's it really starts off, he's having a conversation with a pigeon. And so once again, when you have people talking, you have to convey, sort of action and artwork, and Goodhart really does that there. I really, this is a book to check out. I'm really, I was kind of intrigued, when I heard about it, but boy, it really, it was really good this week. Definitely check this out. Next up, we have the Riddler Year 1, number 5, written by Paul Dano, with artwork by Steven Subek. This is the next last issue, and yes, it has been running late, so where you're not crazy. This issue really is, this whole series is a prequel, how the Riddler, how Paul Dano's character in the Batman movie became the Riddler. And so this is kind of a story that Paul Dano has come up with for his character as the Riddler, his backstory. So this is like leading in. What's interesting about this issue is it's really told from his journal's point of view. He's kind of really at this point kind of lost it, but he's keeping track of it. So it's really fascinating where it really melds like artwork and story in just a very unique and bizarre way almost. You're kind of, it's like reading a serial killer's notebook. That's what most of the issue is, and we really start to lead up. We're getting to the point where he's getting closer to what we saw in the Batman movie. So it's been really interesting, and like I said, this issue was just really really intense, because once again, it's you're reading like a killer's journal, and really I have to give it to Subek, who really was able to capture all of this kind of madness in the artwork. It was really fascinating. It was really an incredible issue. So I'm really excited to kind of see where it ends up with the next issue, with the big finale. It'll be really interesting. This has been a really big, surprising book, not only with the story but the artwork. I mean, they've both been really good. So I'd say it's going to be difficult to try to find the first issues. They just announced that they are doing a hardcover collection of the 6 issues. So that may be something you want to wait for. But if you do happen to find the first 5 issues, definitely pick it up. It's really worthwhile. Next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Usagi Yojimbo, Wherewhen, number 4, written and drawn by Stan Sakai. So the Turtles have kind of been thrown back into time. They followed Dr. Wherewhen, who is, basically kind of a mad scientist. They end up with Usagi, who they have met before, and it is, they do, Stan does explain that in the first issue. And so what it is Dr. Wherewhen has created, he's going back in time to fix his failure in the future. That's the basic premise here. And so Usagi and some of the warriors and ninjas he's with have gone off with the Turtles to try to find Dr. Wherewhen and basically defeat him. This issue, we knew from last issue that he has been creating these mechanical monsters. And so there's an army of robot monsters, and then he's also created like giant monsters. There's like a giant dragon and a giant spider. So this issue is really kind of a big action issue as they track Dr. Wherewhen down. I've really liked this. I mean, I'm a big fan of Stan Sakai. Who doesn't love Usagi Yojimbo? And teaming up, having him do Usagi with the Turtles is just absolutely perfect. He's an amazing artist. I mean, Usagi's always been one of those just really great drawn books, and he's probably one of maybe two people left in the universe that he hand letters all of his artwork. He does the original artwork. It's pen and paper, and then he letters everything by hand, and it's absolutely amazing. And this book has just been an absolute blast. If you're not familiar with Usagi, definitely this is a great, it's a great, almost a gateway drug to Usagi. And then once you read this, you're going to be, oh man, I need to go start reading Usagi. So definitely, I really recommend this. I'm having a blast with this book. Next up, we have City Boy #2, written by Greg Pak with artwork by Minkyu Young. So Cameron's son has been given these powers, and he basically is able to not only communicate with the city, but he can kind of control it. And so we learned last issue how he, this scientist was doing experiments on people, and, Cameron kind of came into the picture, and he actually got the powers. And so now the scientist has been trying to track Cameron down to, kind of, either get the powers back. We're not quite sure what's going on. But now in this issue, the mob's now involved, and you got the mob from the city, Gotham City, and then other cities, and it's getting pretty crazy. But I enjoyed the first issue. The second issue does a nice job of building upon that first issue and building the story. There's a nice surprise. I'm not going to spoil it. He has a superhero visit him at the end of this issue, so that really, it will be interesting to see how that works into the story going forward from this issue. This is part of the Asian Pacific characters, and once again, I'm liking all the books, and Pack has done a nice job of building on that first issue, and Zhang's artwork is good. It works well for the story. So definitely, I think it's still worth checking out. It's definitely, I like the fact that it's something a little different. It's still superhero-y, but a little different. Next up, we have Local Man #5, written by Tony Fleece and Tim Seeley, with the artwork for the Farmington part of the book drawn by Tony Fleece. And then the third generation part, backup story, is drawn by Tim Seeley. So this is the end of the first story arc. So from last issue, I still don't want to give too much away, but so we have Jack, who is Cross Jack, coming, he finds out who the killer of Hodag was, or Hodag, excuse me. And, like I said, I don't want to give anything away, but he's basically back in, he's in the hometown, and he's been taken to this, it's a fourth generation training facility. And so basically what we've learned now is that these superheroes have been created. They have been, I guess, genetically manipulated to be superheroes. And that's how this has all come about. And, it's kind of like these dirty little secrets of Crossjack and Third Gen are starting to bubble up. And we're starting to kind of learn, hey, there's a much bigger story behind this than Jack just getting kicked out of the club, basically. I'm really digging this book. I really like this. This was a nice ending to the first story arc. I mean, it doesn't really end. There's definitely a nice oh crap at kind of the end of this issue, but it's been a really, really solid book. I've been really liking this. Seeley and Fleece are just, doing a really great job. And I like how, the Farmington is obviously the main story, but it's interesting seeing the third generation kind of backup stories and how, they're set in the past, but how it's leading into what's going on. And we're learning things in the past that are, going into the present. So it's really kind of an ingenious idea. And obviously this book in a lot of ways is kind of an homage to 90s image, superhero books. But it's definitely standing on its own. And so I know the first few issues did sell out. So I'd say at this point, there will be a trade of, collecting the first 5 issues. And it's definitely worth checking out. I've really enjoyed this book. Next up, we have Batman the Brave and Bold, #2. Okay, so there's 4 stories. So we have the Batman winning card, written by Tom King, with artwork by Mitch Gerards. Then we have the Stormwatch Down with the King, written by Ed Brisson, with artwork by Jeff Spokes. Then we have Superman Order of the Black Lamp, written by Christopher Cantwell, with artwork by Javier Rodriguez. And then there's the Batman Black and White story, All Things Considered, written and drawn by Joel Jones. Excuse me. So the first story of the Batman is basically Joker has completely gone psycho. It's a brutal. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like what they did for the Batman Bad Day with the Riddler. This is a really dark story, but it's intriguing because, it's kind of that darker side. It's almost like, in a way, what Alan Moore and Brian Bolland did with The Killing Joke. It's that kind of similar theory where it's just like, it's really going down that black hole of, insanity. And it's dark, but it's really good. And I'm liking the way that King is writing the story. And then of course you have Jared's, the artwork is just absolutely amazing. And I'm really digging this story, but it is dark. The Stormwatch has been quite the surprise. I'm really liking this. And so basically what we've, the first part of the story was really setting up, getting the team together. So now we've discovered that there's some sort of mysterious, disease that has been affecting, boats and things like that. And so they're trying to figure out. And, so they also know that there's something that they're looking for, or this thing called the Dead Sea Blade. So they go out on the ocean on like a yacht and they try to find it, and then they get attacked by these sea creatures. So that obviously they have the blade, and then that seems to be possibly that there's something they have to do with this like infection or this bacteria thing. So it's really interesting. It's an interesting story, and Spoke's artwork's really nice. It's a really good looking story. But like I said, I've been quite surprised. The Superman story is really, I've enjoyed a lot because it's very kind of throwback to kind of, that 40-ish sort of thing, especially because of Rodriguez's artwork. But basically, Superman got this ring, and it's leading him to this much cherished mountain where he's discovered that there's kind of this secret society there. And the story also is about this aviator, Hop Harrington, that was lost, like 70 years ago. And so that kind of is coming up, and we don't know how basically Clark / Superman got the ring, but it's really interesting. It really, in a lot of ways, kind of reminds me of like the Flesher Supermans in a way. Obviously, visually, Rodriguez really, kind of has that style in a way, but the story really is in that vein too. It's kind of an adventure story, which is I really like it. It's something different for a Superman story, and I really like that. The final story, All Things Considered, is basically about how the scars affect Batman, throughout him, getting beat up and everything, and how the scars kind of, don't necessarily, they kind of break him, but they also make him who he is. And of course, it's Joelle Jones. She's, she did a wonderful job on Wonder Girl. She's a really just fantastic artist. And it's really great to see her, kind of do something a little different. And it's very, it's not really kind of an action story. It's really, kind of a psychological type story. And I really like that. And of course, doing it black and white's absolutely, I love the Batman black and whites. And this is nice that we get one story every issue. So that's always so. The second issue is still going. I'm digging it. everything has been a good win so far. So we'll see if that record keeps continuing as this book goes along. Next up, we have Blue Book number 5, written by James Tinian the Fourth. With artwork by Michael Avon Oeming, and then there's the True Weird backup, and I have been promised it, written by Genevieve Valentine with artwork by Ming Doyle. So this is the final issue of this miniseries about Betty and Barney were abducted by aliens, and they've gone to Dr. Simos to he hypnotized them to get the story. And really this is based, I believe the way it's written, it's based on a true story of these people. And so as they get older, they kind of become, they get involved with these UFO groups and stuff like that. So it's been a really interesting story. It's definitely great because it's of the period that it's when they were abducted, which was the 50s. It's really been great, and Oeming, I'm a big fan of Oeming's artwork. I love his artwork, and he really is perfect, especially with the limited color palette that this story uses. Has been really, really great. The backup by Valentine and Doyle, the True Weird story, was very strange, but it's basically about kind of, in a way, it's the National Lab of Psychic phenomena or research, and it's kind of like, it's almost like the library research is like National Enquirer stories, like weird stuff. That's the basic, that's an easy way to kind of tell the story. It's quite strange, but it's supposed to, once again, hence the True Weird. Once again, I've enjoyed the fact that they're really just kind of different stories and stuff. This has been a really neat book. I've really kind of dug it because it's definitely something different. And the UFO angle is just, it's an intriguing subject. I mean, whether you believe it or not, Tinian and Oeming have created a really nice book here, and I've really enjoyed it. So I'm sure there'll be a trade coming out collecting all the 5 issues. I think it was worth checking out. I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have we have Batman, The Adventures Continue, Season 3, Number 6. It's always a mouthful every issue. So this one, it's written by Alan Burnett and Paul Denny with artwork by Ty Templeton. So this is the first part of a multi-part story. I'm not sure how many parts it's going to be, but so things are kind of calm in Gotham. So Bruce it goes on a vacation to an island that he happens to own with Tim, and they're on vacation, but he really, he's there for an alternate reason. And we find out that, there's obviously, he knew something was going on, but Ra's al Ghul and Talia are there. And really the interesting part of the story is that Ra's al Ghul has, he always rejuvenates through the Lazarus pit, that it's not working anymore, that he's actually going to die. And so he's created this wheat that can grow anywhere. It can grow in the Antarctic. It can grow in the Sahara Desert, and that it can be, it's like a superfood that can be made into anything. Like, the lobster that they're having for dinner is actually made out of this like special wheat. That's the premise of that. But the other interesting that there's glimpses of is that there is a woman that's running away in the sewers, and I don't want to give away who it is, but there's something going on in Gotham that, and now Batman's off on an island, so it'll be interesting to see. If you're a fan of, and who isn't, of Batman the Animated Series, then, you need to pick this book up. This is just great. The stories, I mean, who knows them better than Burnett and Denny? And as always, I'm a big fan of Ty Templeton. He really captures that animated spirit, and it continues to be well worth checking out. Next up, we have Worldtree #3, written by James Tynion IV, with artwork by Fernando Blanco. Yes, kids, it's a big James Tynion week. They all seem to have came out this week. So basically what has happened is, so there's Ellison Lane, his younger brother basically went nuts and killed people. And what has happened is, there's this group that had discovered in the past of there's this dark web and it affects people. It kind of messes you up. And so they're trying to like contain it because it's gotten out again. And so there's a lot of spinning plates in this story. So there's the group that is trying to, basically control this dark web, glitch or whatever you want to call it. And so they're talking to Ellison because, he, it was his brother. Whether he knows anything or not, we're not sure. But then we have, so Darren and Amanda from the group went to his brother's apartment or his house, where there's this mysterious naked girl who's running around like she's the only thing I can assume that she's part of the dark web. But there's a reporter that had gotten into the house and she got affected. And so they try to get her and she's glitching out, and the crazy dark web lady has set the house on fire. It's crazy. There's a lot going on. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it's a wild book. And I really, it's really interesting how, Tynion is kind of using that, dark web, almost Y2K disaster thing. It's really an interesting premise, and Blanco's artwork is really nice. He's really, it's a really gritty book, and his artwork has a real nice grit to it. It's definitely, it's a wild book, but I do like how he's slowly, this is one of those stories that's kind of washing over you. He's giving you a little bit of a time, which is working well. I mean, it's one of those slow burns, but it's working so far. I'm enjoying it. So we'll kind of see where they take it. And finally, this week we have Dark Spaces, Good Deeds #2, written by Chi Grayson, with artwork by Kelsey Ramsey. So Jean, she's a reporter. She's sent down to the small town who's having, they're having their big like 75th, anniversary, celebration of the city. But there's something darker in this city that, is slowly bubbling up. And so she's kind of been caught in it. And then there's Rebecca and Cheyenne, who moved from the city to move to this town to open, like a diner restaurant. And in the last issue, there was this guy who was kind of, local guy, but kind of semi harassing them. He dies, and it just like he melts or something. It's kind of messed up. And so, we kind of learn that there's something much darker going on in the city that Jean and Rebecca and Cheyenne are starting to discover, but the town, not everybody in the town knows that like there's some darker secret, but the older, like the mayor and everybody else is like, yeah, they kind of know what's going on, but it's really been intriguing. I kind of like that. It's definitely, kind of Twilight Zoney, horror, but not, there's some like the goopy guy from the died in the first one, but it's really it has a nice horror punch to it, and I really kind of like it. The second issue Grayson did a nice job of building on the second issue, and Ramsey's artwork is it's good. It does it's actually it's a good looking book, and the visuals work well with the story. So definitely, like I said, we'll see. We'll see if the third issue kind of keeps going. That's gonna do it this week. It was, like I said, it was a small week. Hopefully, the books that were missed this week in shipping, we will get them, and hopefully we'll kind of review them next week. We'll try to get those in. But as always, public service announcement: I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics in Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner runs a great store. They have a great pull box service. You order, you order them by final order cutoff. You get your books. They set them aside for you. You get a discount on your books. You get a discount on trades and graphic novels. He's been having actually a lot of sales because publishers sometimes have sales, so he'll buy the stuff and pass those savings on to you. It's a really great store. There's Ryan's a great owner. Annie's there, Eduardo's there, Wendy, Derek. It's really great. Check out their Facebook and their Facebook group page. It's a lot of fun. Great group of customers too. Really good crew. He also usually on Tuesday nights he'll do an unboxing. He'll talk about the new books coming out. So definitely check that out. Check out their socials. And as always, we end our show with be kind. Be kind to each other. I know it's tough out there, but being kind is good for you. It's good for everyone. I know sometimes it's hard to be kind, but just being kind is really good for you. And once again, it's not the big things. Big things are great, but it's the little things. Just being nice to other people. Honestly, that's what we need more of right now than anything else. Just be kind to each other. That's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. Once again, have a great holiday. Be safe. Also support your local comic shop. They're the backbone of the industry. Always pick your books up as soon as you possibly can because they have to pay for them ahead of time. But that's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share. Comments are great. Thanks for the feedback. It's been really great. And that's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.